Hello, welcome to another episode of the DRH show. As usual, in each episode, I'll be talking to interesting people within psychology, mental health, and well-being. Today, I'm joined by someone who is passionate about technology and helping people. He's the CEO of Healing Clouds, Asim Amin. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Dennis.
Okay. It's great to have you here, Asim. So let's start off with you telling us your backstory, your trajectory in life, and how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Sure. So I started my business career when I was 17, and I started off in the technology space. I had a online gaming center, and then from there on, I dabbled into a lot of other things. I've had chain of restaurants, and I've had from dry cleaners to media agency, and I've also worked in real estate. So I've also done the whole corporate life, and I also had a real estate agency myself. Did some investments in the real estate sector. So a major part of my life was in the whole real estate world. However, I was really passionate about the whole mental health space, and that is because of my mom. So my mother is a therapist, and she got exposed to the mental health space because of her own personal struggles. And this is over 15 years ago. She was suffering from severe depression, severe stress due to her failed marriage. And she is now a completely different person, and she's turned her life around because she started seeking therapy. She didn't just stop there. She became a therapist herself. And as I mentioned, because of her, I've been exposed to the whole mental health space. I've been, got to know her patients, her clients, also got to know her fellow therapists as well. And I was really passionate about this space. However, at that time, I didn't really, not just didn't really do within anything within the mental health space, but also, honestly, never even spoke to my friends or my peers or my colleagues that my mother is a therapist. As you can imagine, there's still a lot of stigma in the mental health space today. So the stigma was a lot more about 15 years ago. So I honestly didn't want to do anything to do with the space. However, as you grow older, as they say, you grow wiser. So hopefully, I've become a little bit wiser now, and I really wanted to give back because I really saw, the importance and the benefits of addressing your mental health. And sometime in mid 2017, I started exploring the whole telemedicine side of things. I saw a lot of platforms and apps which would connect you with GPs and specialists and doctors, but the whole mental health space was not as robust as it is today. So we started developing the platform, and mid of 2018 is when we launched the platform, finally made it live. And here we are now with more than 150 therapists on our platform from the UK and across the world. And we've completed more than 2,000 online therapy sessions on our platform.
You're absolutely right, Asim, that our experience shapes what kind of business or what kind of endeavor that we'll actually do in the future. And I actually admire you for your honesty of sharing your experience and your mom experience. And it's really admirable how it shaped your company, which is Healing Clouds. Now, you already told us the kind of trajectory that Healing Clouds has been into. Now, if you could just share to us, so what exactly is this platform, and who is this for? Is this like, shall we say, like a space for therapists and people who are needing therapy to, kind of talk together?
Yeah, absolutely. So the core business of the platform is to connect people with therapists. And our mission is to make therapy as affordable as possible and to provide accessibility as well. So when we first started off the platform, we were a pay-as-you-go marketplace, wherein we used to onboard therapists, and then therapists used to, set their own session charges, and then people were, used to come to our platform, and then they would search for a relevant therapist, and then start booking their sessions with them. However, end of last year, end of 2019. I was invited to a university for a talk about entrepreneurship and mental health, and then I was re-invited again to do an interview with their student community. And at that time, I learned that a student in the university had committed suicide sometime first week or second week of December last year, and that obviously took me aback, but took the whole team aback as well. I mean, because unfortunately we have members within the team who have seen suicide either within their family or their friends. So we really wanted to take a step back and understand what were the biggest barriers from people getting mental health support. And affordability was by far number one on that list. So we revamped the whole model, and we've now come up with a subscription-based model wherein today a therapy on an average in the UK costs roughly about £100. We have now managed to drop that to about £35, where we have a subscription-based model. You can come to our platform and book 1, 2, or 4 therapy sessions per month. And we've also switched the model into we ask you a certain question, certain psychometric questions, and based on that, our algorithm then curates the top 3 therapists for you. And what we've also done now is we're talking about the accessibility bit. We are also now in the next 3 weeks launching like a Netflix for mental health, some sort of an aspect to it as well, wherein we are creating online courses with our therapists. So these would be therapist-led online courses, and we're launching with just under 100 courses, and the idea is to have hundreds or even thousands of courses as we move forward. Try and making it, as much as we can, making it much more affordable and much more accessible. And because of this whole change of dynamics, we've also now been able to focus not only the B2C side of things, which is going direct to consumer, but also B2B. So we're tying up with employee benefit companies and corporates, and the whole business to business side of things as well.
It sounds really like an intuitive platform for therapists and for people needing mental health support. Now, what I'm interested to hear from you, Asim, is what sort of therapies can you offer using the platform?
Yeah, so everything that is clinical. So we've got clinical psychologists, we've got counselors, we've got cognitive behavioral therapists, CBT, as it's widely known, and psychotherapists as well. So these are the different therapists that we have. As you know, all these therapies are talk-based therapies, and all of them are able to address most of the if it's mental related issues, or if it's body image issues or chronic pain management, even to do with relationships or financial well-being as well, something to do with work. So there are different aspects that you can come onto our platform for. So the psychometric test that I spoke to you about earlier on, we would then ask you, we would show you different categories, and based on those categories, you would be then given follow-up questions. And based on the answers of those questions, we will then try and allocate the best type of therapist for you. So if it's CBT, or if it's a psychotherapist, or if it's a clinical psychologist.
And of course, it's important that you actually have certified professionals within your pool. So I'm just wondering how you secure therapists and mental health professionals for your platform.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and to be honest, it's a very important question for us as well, and a very integral question for us because ultimately, it is very important for us, for our therapists, to be not just certified but also accredited. So I can walk you through our vetting process, which is extremely stringent. What we do is a therapist, before they come to our platform, they need to first provide us with their ID, with their certification, and also their accreditation. So depending on which country they're coming from, we have few accredited bodies within each country, which we identify as approved bodies on our platform, and that is clearly listed for the therapists when they're going through the onboarding process. Once they've provided all these documentations for us, we then get on a one-to-one vetting call with them. And in that, obviously, we try and assess the quality of the therapist. And once everything is a go, we then give them the whole walkthrough of our platform. Now, that is the vetting taken care of. However, we also do it, another check, try and keep things that much more close knit. So we also have social proof. After every therapy session, a client is able to provide a rating and review of their session. So it is also, in the therapist's best interest to receive the best rating and review. And also for other clients, when they're booking a therapy session with a particular therapist, they can read on the reviews and rating of that particular therapist to give them that much more peace of mind. On top of that, we also understand how therapy can be very subjective. So when you're connecting with an individual on the other side, that can be a very personal opinion as well. So you could have the best therapist, but maybe one person might not resonate with that therapist. So we then intervene, and after your first therapy session, we also guarantee that particular person that if for whatever reason they're not happy with that therapist, we then allocate an alternative therapist for that person, and we can keep on doing that unless and until the person is satisfied. And again, in very rare occasion, if a person is still not satisfied, we will refund them their money without any questions asked. So we try and do all these things, try and protect the client, and hopefully try and ensure that both the therapist and the client get the best possible experience out of the session.
And of course, Asim, the emergence of digital platforms like Healing Clouds is just part of the changes in the mental health landscape. So if you could just talk to us through about what are the changes that you've seen with the mental health landscape over the years.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, with the whole crisis, first of all, it's unfortunate, a lot of people are going through a lot of suffering, and a lot of people have gone through a lot of suffering already. But fortunately for us, I believe we're on the right side of the crisis, being in the mental health space, and also, everything that we do is remote and online. And I think, from every negative thing, you do have some positives, but now I believe the positive that has come out, at least if for the whole mental health space, is that the awareness and the education of mental health has just accelerated that much more and that much faster in these past couple of months. So obviously the demand for mental health has just gone up drastically, and it's platforms like us and so many other platforms which are now there enabling users and people to get that mental health support that they need. And I also believe that this is not just limited to the whole crisis that we're in. I think the whole landscape has changed drastically, and it's changed for good, just because the awareness piece has switched. So people do understand the importance of mental health, and I think that's just going to continue to grow.
So you brilliantly explained to us these changes about the mental health landscape, and of course you also explained that the pricing structure behind healing plans. It is really admirable that you have taken into account, the financial situations of people who might be availing of your service. Now, aside, of course, from the financial reasons, Asim, could you also explain to us some of the barriers people face when seeking mental health support?
Yeah, I think stigma and accessibility is a big one. A lot of people, of course, because of the cost barrier, a lot of people are unable to get access to mental health. I think the NHS is doing a fantastic job. Not only, if you compare, the health system here in the UK to so many other countries. However, unfortunately, there's a huge wait time, especially when it comes to seeking mental health. So it could be, a couple of weeks to a couple of months. So it's the accessibility piece also that we bring in, where you can book a therapy session on our platform in as early as the next day. But also more so, I think it's the stigma around the whole topic. So a lot of people, don't want to try therapy because they don't want others to know that they're gone into therapy. So I think that us being remote also makes it that much of a difference and helps break that barrier as well. Wherein now, if you're a mother or a student, or if you're a father working offshore somewhere, you can get access to your therapist in the comfort of your home, or even in the comfort of your office. So I think that also breaks a lot of barrier, because now you're not forced to go out there, go to see a therapist in their office or go to a hospital. So I think those are the barriers that mental health startups like ourselves are trying to break as well.
Mhm. And it's good that you mentioned about stigma as one of the barriers for addressing mental health issues. And as someone who works within the mental field area, can you give us some ways on how we can actually address this stigma about mental health issues?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I think it starts from the whole awareness piece. So and honestly, it starts from us, from ourselves. So acknowledging that there is a problem, because we all have mental health issues. Everybody goes through stress. Everybody goes through anxiety. I don't think any one of us is immune to that. But actually acknowledging that, for example, having stress is not normal. Having stress is normal, but how do you actually manage that stress? So a lot of people live their lives. If they've got a stressful job, they think having stress is okay. It's a part of life, and you just have to get on with it. But that shouldn't be the case. So understanding that shouldn't be the case, I think that is very, very important. And acknowledging that there's a problem is extremely important, because once you acknowledge that there is a problem, you'll be more than surprised that there are so many avenues out there, platforms like ourselves, or support groups, or just people, just individuals, that you can voice your issues, and there'll be so many people who will be more than happy to give you a lending hand, or a ear to listen. So I think it all starts by ourselves, and then once you break that barrier from within, it becomes that much more easier to start supporting one another. And like I said, there's just so many things out there, from the NHS to so many support groups that individuals have created, and so many private companies like ourselves.
Now, Asim, a lot of people, it's really good that you're trying to make access to mental health support really accessible. But what I'm interested to hear from you is that a lot of people are a bit reluctant to access mental health, because they say that it's not really for me. And I hate to say it, but I'm also one of those people, because sometimes I say I'm perfectly fine. So why do I need to get mental health? To talk to a mental health professional?
That's a really good and a very interesting question as well, because and you're absolutely right. To be honest, I was one of those people as well, saying, there's nothing wrong with me. Why do I need to speak to a therapist, or why do I need access to mental health? But unfortunately, you know, a lot of people, even today, start seeking therapy only when there's a big problem, only when they've gone through a burnout or a breakdown, or their mental health issues have now manifested into a physical or a chronic condition. So, it is as good as saying that, I'm only going to hit the gym, or I'm only going to start working out after I've got a stroke or a heart attack. So, understanding that relationship is extremely important, because we do separate the mind and body. However, there is a union between the mind and body. Everything that starts with your mind and then manifests into any physical or chronic conditions, like I mentioned. So it is nothing but obvious to take care of your mental health, as you would take care of your diet, and you would take care of your physical health. Even during the pandemic, people were asked to go out at least 1 hour a day for a walk, just to keep their physical health in check, and that is extremely important on a day-to-day basis. Same thing goes for your mental health as well. So you don't have to wait until you've burnt out and you have collapsed and you have gone into that spiral, but to regularly keep your the maintenance of your mental health up to the mark, like you would do for your physical health.
And I think, Asim, what you're trying to say is basically a holistic approach. You don't wait for the problem to get worse, but instead it's more like a preventative measure before your mental health goes out of control. Now, of course, we kind of already, shall we say, gone past through the height of the pandemic, but I think it's appropriate just to talk about the pandemic. Now, if you could just explain to us the short and long-term effects of COVID-19 in mental health.
Yeah, sure. So, there are obvious short effects because we're all living through it. And you're right, we've probably passed the height of it, at least in this country. But a lot of other countries, I think they're seeing their peak as we speak now. But the short-term effects, as we all know, it's caused a lot of anxiety. Uncertainty is a big issue, and because of uncertainty, obviously that causes anxiety and then causes stress. A lot of people, have been locked down. I, in fact, was traveling, and I just came back to the UK, and I've been in 14-day quarantine. So it was like a deja vu again. Coming out of the pandemic, but then again stuck at home for another 2 weeks. So obviously the uncertainty causes a lot of issue, has caused a lot of issue in terms of our mental health, during the pandemic. But post-pandemic, the long-term effects, starting from children, for example, there's a lot of research out there which talks about PTSD within children. But then I don't think it's only limited to children as well. I think it's much broader than that. And also, everybody keeps talking about the new normal. So obviously our lives have changed for good in so many aspects. A lot of jobs that we've lost will probably not come back again. The way businesses operate, a lot of them will not be operating the same way again. Remote working is going to be the new norm. A lot of things are going to be the new norm, and how do we adapt to that? So things are not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take a little bit of time until we start adapting to the new normal. And obviously that in the long term is going to also affect our mental health. Isolation is a big thing now, even when it comes to remote working. A lot of people are talking about work-life balance. People will have a better work-life balance, but a lot of parents I speak to these days are finding it very challenging managing, homeschooling with their kids, and kids and them trying to do work while their children are at home. So there's a lot of issues which are, if not addressed properly now, will have a snowball effect as we progress from the months and the years to come.
And of course, Asim, it's not just the family dynamics, the relationship dynamics, which has been affected by the lockdown. Also, there's financial consequences. And of course, as we all know, the UK has been pushed into recession. So if you could just talk us through how will this impact the mental health landscape?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, financial well-being is a big thing for us as well. And in fact, a lot of corporates that we speak to, a lot of them have been asking us to, try and touch on that financial well-being aspect as well, because obviously that, there's a huge relation between your financial well-being and then your mental health and everything else that follows. And unfortunately, like I spoke about jobs earlier on, a lot of jobs are probably never going to come back, and a lot of people have either lost jobs or are taking salary cuts. And I don't think it's limited only to the UK, but it's across the globe. So and again, the talks of UK going into recession, but I think that's again not limited to the UK, but I think really on a global level. So hence why I think fortunately, especially with our therapist-led courses, I think we will now be able to somehow at least do something from our side as well, where we can break that cost barrier and try and support people as much as we can. But having said that, there's only so much companies like us that can do. Obviously, governments are doing a lot of restructuring when it comes to, from the furlough scheme being extended to so many other loans. And I mean, there's just so much the government is doing. But at least momentarily, until people find their financial footing, I think it's extremely important for us to be able to assist them with their and support them with their mental health. And I think the NHS is doing a fantastic job on that as well. But I think more than ever, yes, there's a problem. Yes, a lot of people probably don't have jobs at this point in time, or are taking salary cuts. But I think more than ever, it is important for each one of us to address our mental health. A lot of people might think it's counterproductive because people are focused on how can I get a new job, or how can I get more money in terms of because I've taken a salary cut. But I think it is extremely important for people to understand how important for them to have a clear headspace, especially at this point in time, is. So I think more than ever, people need to take their responsibility to address their mental health, and hopefully once their mental health is in check, that it will give them that much more clarity to manage the problem in a better way. Because you see, in terms of challenges, I think we will always have challenges. It's just that the nature of challenges keep changing. However, if we are addressing our mental health in the right way, we will be able to manage those challenges in a much better way than we are currently. So yeah, I think it's just that much more important.
Mm-hmm. Now, Asim, as you've mentioned, that there are certain schemes that, say, for instance, the government has implemented to help those people. So I'm just interested to hear from you if Healing Clouds has actually implemented, say, for instance, a well-being scheme to help those individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. So at this point in time, what we're doing now is working on that. So we were not the first to jump our guns and take the first step. I'll be very honest with you, just because we were not prepared for it. Like everybody else, a lot of people were not prepared. But during that time, we were also internally going through a major shift in terms of the business plan and in terms of the therapists that we have on board. However, now, thankfully, we are there. And when we launch our online courses in the next 2 weeks or so, we are now working on a system where we can help and support all those who have been affected. So there is something that we're working on, and something that we will be announcing in the next in the weeks to come. If not this month, definitely in the beginning of next month, so the beginning of October, there will be something, especially for people who've been affected. If they've lost their jobs, or if they've taken salary cuts, or just in general, people who cannot afford but they require support and assistance for their mental health. Definitely, we're working something on that.
Mm-hmm. I'll be happy to publish your announcements on how you can help people get more access to mental health. I'll be happy to publish that on SiteCrash. Just drop me an email. Of course, you're not just in essence helping people in relation to their mental health, but in essence, you're kind of also benefiting from it. So what would you say you have learned about your own mental health, while managing Healing Clouds?
Wow, where do I start? So, I mean, it's been a long journey, to be honest. My understanding of mental health has drastically changed. I thought I knew this space, but now I know I was wrong compared to what I know today. What I mean by that is I knew this space, as I said, because of my mother and because of her colleagues and all the clients and everything that I would hear from her and then just read about. However, now being within the space and actually sitting down with therapists, but then also sitting down with our team members who have a lot of experience within the field, and finally understanding and listening to our customers who are actually going through the therapy sessions. I think that has just changed the overall my overall understanding of the space drastically. But not just that, because it's it's just helped me drastically to then pivot the business accordingly, but also not limited to the business, but to my own personal approach to mental health. For example, every morning I wake up. I do not start my day without getting into a meditation first, and from daily affirmations to doing regular check-ins with my therapist, and that's also again not limited to me, but we provide that in our entire team as well, because we try and practice what we preach. So every team member of Healing Clouds also has access to their own therapist on a regular monthly basis, because we also want to make that into a habit more so. Exactly like I said, as we would eat well and we would go to the gym or work out. So I think it's only been extremely positive. The way I manage my stress levels, the way I manage relationships, the way I'm even managing my business. It's thanks to all that I've learned in the past 3 years, thanks to the help of the therapists and having that better understanding of the space.
And of course, I also know, Asim, that another passion that you have is helping students with their mental health. So if you could just talk more about that, about mental health and students' well-being.
Yeah, I think students is a big one for me because, as I mentioned, we in fact did a huge pivot to our business from a subscription-based model, from a pay-as-you-go model to a subscription-based model. And again, the importance of bringing the price point down. Everything started off with my conversation with the students. And I think students is really important because, I think, I don't think, it's a fact, they are the future. And it's very important for us to be able to manage their mental health and their well-being. I think that's extremely important. And also because of the challenges they currently face as well. When I was a student, I thought I had stress and anxiety because of exams or because of the academics or because even of my parents. But honestly speaking, things have drastically changed when I compare my student years to the students today, and the amount of stress and the amount of anxiety they have is nothing compared to what I had when I was in school or university. So, and I think obviously the whole world has changed since then with social media and with technology. Yes, there are so many positives, but that also brings in so many negatives. So for me, students is very important because one, they are our future, but secondly, also because they are, in terms of when we talk about stigma, their programming is not as fixated like the previous generation. So they are much more open to try new things. They're much more open to suck in new information. Honestly, I feel they're like a sponge. And in terms of stigma as well, I see that the stigma is a lot less when it comes to the student community rather than the older generation. So I think that's a really good union there, where if we can provide them with the mental health support which they eagerly want to get anyway, we could have the next generation, because they are they are our leaders of the future. So we would have a much better generation if they understand the importance and if they manage their mental health and their well-being much better than we did.
Now, Adam, you already talk about the kind of generational difference between the younger people and the older people in terms of their perception about mental health. So I'm just interested. So what kind of demographics usually access your platform? Are these also younger people, or they're kind of really spread out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in general, I would say the demographics is younger people, not necessarily students. But if I just give you a high level idea of our demographics, we're looking at an age group of roughly about 25 to about maybe 45, and I would say the split is roughly about 60 40, or maybe 65 and or I'd say 60-40 split between male and female. So female being on the higher side, which again is unfortunate because there's a lot more stigma in mental health when it comes to the male population. But yeah, we're looking at a rough demographic of about this age group 25 to 45. But yeah, we have a lot of student community that we are trying to engage with. Also, honestly speaking, we've not really pushed ourselves within the student communities as much as we would like to. So even when I speak about the B2B tie-ups, so the corporate tie-ups, we've actually first targeted corporates rather than universities. We have started the dialogue with universities, and hopefully, once in the next couple of weeks, once we've launched the therapist-led online courses, that is when we're gonna, come back on the university side, and hopefully, in the next month or so, we should be able to tie up with with many more universities and change that demographics wherein we can cater to many more students.
Now, as you've just explained clearly, Healing Clouds is not just about supporting people in terms of their mental health, but it's also you're sort of trying to create a community. So if you just explain to us what's the importance of creating a sense of community.
Yeah, I think community support is extremely important. So yes, of course, you need a professional that you need to speak to. But I mean, like I said, it all starts from us and us supporting one another. So this is what we're extremely trying to push as well. So we've already started doing that. But the push, the hard push, is going to come once we've launched our online courses as well, wherein people can come onto the Healing Cloud platform and access the community bit absolutely for free. So support one another. That is the whole idea. And then from there on, if they want a little bit more, they can access to the online courses. And of course, if they want the one-to-one support, they can access the therapist as well. But it all starts from the community. And I think community is extremely important and extremely powerful as well. So just knowing that you have, somebody who shares your same experiences, or somebody who's there to listen to you, I think that is extremely, extremely powerful. And to be honest, maybe most of the time, only that much support perhaps is enough. But of course, if you want more, we're always there for you. But because we want to try and generalize this, and we want to, be accessible to all, hence why the community support is what we'll really be pushing in the next couple of weeks and months.
Now, Asim, we've been talking about your journey towards mental health landscape, and we've been talking about Healing Clouds for the past 40 minutes. But let's jump into, something more personal. So let's learn more about Asim. So is there a particular individual who has the greatest influence to your work?
To be honest with you, everything, like I mentioned earlier on, everything started because of my mother. I mean, she has been my biggest influence, not just to start this business, but also, like I mentioned, she was suffering through mental health problems because of her failed marriage, and so growing up, we also had a tough time as children within that family, but for her to be that powerhouse of a woman that she is, and for her to be able to have her mental health in check, has helped us be especially me, be the person that I am today. So I think honestly, I mean, she has been my biggest influence in life. I mean, not just to carry out my business, but also to carry out my life. Of course, along the way, I'm thankful to so many different people that I've learned from and that I've gained a lot of knowledge from. We have an amazing advisory board. I speak to my advisors day in, day out, try and gather as much information as I can from them. Every time there's a blockage, they're always there to help me. And along the years, I've just been learning from anybody and everybody. I mean, even from my team members. Not just people who are who are out there doing things, but also people who are potentially learning from me, but I'm also learning from them on a constant basis. But if I had to pick one person, then it will have to be my mother, because everything started because of her, and honestly, I try and speak to her almost every single day, and she just motivates me and she just pushes me every single day.
Brilliant. And Asim, what's the most important thing you want the public to know about your work?
Honestly, in terms of the awareness and the importance of mental health. So yes, we're trying to do so many things. I mean, we spoke about one-to-one therapy sessions, and we spoke about the community and the online courses. And in future, perhaps we will come up with many other things. But I think it's really important for people to be aware that how important is taking care of one's mental health is. Perhaps it's not been positioned to us the way diet or the way physical health has been positioned to us over the years. But I think it's about time that we change the dialogue and we understand, because science has also proven that a lot of our physical conditions today are a manifestation of our mental health. So a lot of people need to understand that, as we all know, prevention is better than cure. And so the preventive measures and how do you give importance to your mental health, I think that is, that is the key. And honestly, we internally within our team, we keep saying that as well, that if after all this we're able to change just one life, I think we would have won. So yeah, we're just out there to help people. Please reach out to us as well. If you don't find anything that we're positioning on our platform, if you don't find anything, please reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to accommodate and help in any way, shape, or form.
Now, Asim, you've been working in the field of mental health for quite a number of years, and I'm quite sure that you've encountered some misconceptions about mental health. So if you could just share to us those misconceptions and kind of address them.
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception is the lack of awareness and the lack of education. I think people are just, I think the biggest misconception is, people think that only when they have a problem or they have a breakdown do they need to see a therapist. I think to be honest, that is extremely counterproductive. Addressing your mental health should be a norm, like you address your physical health. So I think that is the number one misconception that I can think of at this point in time. And I think changing that dialogue, like I mentioned earlier as well, how taking care of your mental health should be like a day-to-day thing that you do, like you would for your diet and everything else. So yeah, I think the education piece around that. I think that is really important.
And it's really important that we create conversations around mental health, be it in the form of courses that you're trying to implement in Healing Clouds, or be it in the form of, creating a community, as you've mentioned earlier. Now, Asim, how do you relax? What's your distressing outlet?
Well, I think my morning meditation really helps me a lot, to be honest. Like, it really puts me in a good mood. It really gets me geared up for the whole day. But I've been working out since over 13, 14 years now, I think. So I think hitting the gym, lifting weights, like, really helps me relax. And then, every now and again, I would, sit and enjoy a show on Netflix. But I think the core is me starting my day with the meditation, but also hitting the gym, exercising. I think exercising also is another form of my meditation. So that also helps me relax and just ease, the entire day's stress and anxiety or any other problem that I have. And it really helps me realign and refocus for the next day.
And Asim, if you didn't work within mental health, what do you think you would have been doing?
Wow. To be honest, I don't think I've asked myself that question in a very long time. But I would definitely be creating something, just because I started my career at the age of 17 by creating a business. So definitely I'd be creating something. I'm glad that I'm in the mental health space, because honestly, this time around, this is the first time around that my driver really is not the commercial aspect of the business, but the driver more so is, how can we impact people's life in a positive way, and how can we change people's lives? So I think that is extremely powerful. So I'm really fortunate, and I'm really grateful that I'm in this space. But yeah, if it wasn't Healing Clouds, then definitely I would be in technology for sure, because technology really excites me. And as we all know, especially with this whole pandemic, we know that we are obviously sitting in a technological revolution, but I think the whole dialogue has changed since the pandemic. So and technology really excites me. So I would be in tech, and I would be creating something 100%.
Brilliant. And finally, Asim, what else is in the pipeline? Talk us about the course from Healing Clouds, and of course any announcement from Healing Clouds.
Sure. Yeah. So I think the courses is something that we're really passionate about. It has been a project of ours since just over 1 year now. So there's been a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of failures, and a lot of things that we've learned from those failures as well. And it's been a long time coming. We have, thanks to our therapists, they've been extremely amazing during this whole process, and it's been extremely challenging as well, because it's the first time that we try and do something like this, and something really different to online courses. There's so many platforms which have online courses, but something really different. What we're doing is that we enable you to connect one-to-one with that therapist whose online course you've seen. So that is really unique to us. So yeah, we've been doing this for a very long time, in terms of started off from the first conversation with the therapist to mapping the content, and then finally scripting it, and then production, and then now it's in post-production, and also the technology behind it. So there's an entire algorithm that we're making behind it as well, and how do we now join the online courses and the online therapy sessions together. So there's just so much that has happened behind the scenes. So we're really pumped and really excited to have the launch as soon as possible. And like I said, in the next 2 weeks or so, we should be launching the product. But also the community aspect to it, which is going to follow after the online courses, as I mentioned, because the whole idea is to start creating that dialogue with the online courses, and then from there on having office hours with the therapist and the community and so on. So online courses and the community is the major thing that we're coming out with, and there's so many few elements around that. But as people come in, they would see, all the other things that we've done around it. But the online course also, I mean, before I conclude this, is also very unique because we're making very bespoke, targeted online courses. So you will not find an online course which will be a generic online course on, for example, anxiety, but it will be very specific to a mother who's just delivered a baby. How can she manage anxiety versus a man who is trying to get a raise in his office and is having anxiety around that matter, speaking to his manager. So it's going to be very, very bespoke. So I think that is also very interesting in terms of the whole way we've created the content and the script around it. So yeah, so we're extremely excited, and I'd be happy for people to come in through your channel as well.
Exciting developments. Yeah, I certainly would love to publish everything about Healing Clouds on my website, SacReg. But well, it's been an insightful conversation with you, Asim, but unfortunately our time is up. It's been a pleasure learning more about your platform, Healing Clouds. Thank you for sharing your time and expertise, and I look forward to hearing more about your work. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dennis. It was a pleasure likewise. And looking forward to engaging with your audience as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.